Well, today I just pulled off the crisscross that was all rotted out. It literally fell right off at the end over here. I didn't videotape it, of course. And we're taking measurements and to see what wood I need here. Now this here is good and solid, and there's basically no rot on the top of this at all. I checked all this all the way down. So there's no rot there. But on this joist, that joist, the one over there, and the one where the air conditioner is rotted about an inch down off the top because I had redone this and sistered up other joists in there. Now, in order to support the air conditioner so we don't crack the windows, because it's all caulked around the window, if any weight is taken off them legs, there's going to be a problem. There's two big boards that you see there are pressure treated that I put in there. They're not 2x6s because it just had to get what I could get in the bargain bin. So I may have to leave those two in there and work all around and sister another 2x8 alongside the one that's rotted and leave that there. Just slip another 2x8 12-footer underneath those two boards and put the hangers down at that end, because these here will be taken out. All this will be removed, and we'll remove the 2x8s that are bad, like the one down the middle here, and so forth. After I get that sistered up, it won't be right on it, it'll be like between the air conditioner and, you know, the old beam there, and put one right there. There's a lot of work that I have to be doing, but I'm taking a lot of measurements and see what I got to have for materials and so forth, and then we'll total it all up and we'll call it in and see how much it's going to be. In the middle of this, I'm going to put another 4x4 in here. I got a pressure treated 4x4, and we're going to run it right to the ground. We're going to nail it to this 2x8 that you see here. That's all solid, no rot at all in it. So that way we're going to have a crisscross here and we'll have a crisscross here instead of the one big crisscross we had in there. Now if you look here, these angles here, of course, I had to do these years ago because this is a small narrow crisscross. These had to be done on the table saw because I didn't have the chop saw, and the chop saw won't do anything more than a 45-degree angle. So I had to literally freehand this through the table saw that time to do that. Meantime, I might put the 4x4 in that. I got a 4x4 over here that I picked up at Home Depot last year, and it's about 5 feet long, so it's going to be plenty big enough to go in that area. The rest of this wood is not pressure treated. It's just wood that I picked up last year. I want to make mention of one thing. The deck is being repaired. The right way to do this job is to tear it all down and build new. That's very expensive. There's no need to do that. When you're on a budget, you got to work with what you got in money. So we're going to repair this, and we're going to repair it with pressure treated wood. Unlike the wood that's here, which is not pressure treated. The only thing pressure treated on this deck right now is the 4x4s and the steps, which I replaced several years back. These are pressure treated. Nothing else is. When I put the new 2x8s in here, the stringers, they're going to be pressure treated, and also the 2x6s. That'll be the difference between that and this. These are just Douglas fir here that we did in 2003. This addition here, this ramp area. This plywood is pressure treated. Has all the rot from all that stuff I pulled out. Well, I'm starting this early until I can get the money for the wood all together here. So we established we got 68 inches from this post to this post. So we're at 34 inches right here. So this is where we're going to put the post. So we're going to cut out, these two 2x6s here. Just cut them off here so I can swing the hammer. We'll put the number 12s or 16s in here, in this joist here. And here's the post right there that I showed you earlier in the video. And we're going to mark the center here. We're going to nail it in here. This will give a little stronger rail. I really should have had 2 crisscrosses in here. It looks more balanced. See how closer together? These are like 4 feet apart, you know. And this one's less, of course, because we had to cut that off and add that in there and put these in. Well, my cousin's husband actually did the angles on these because that's a new one. Originally, we had a bigger one in there. So we had a big one there before we made this ramp, and the original deck, of course, ended right there, and we had a big crisscross there, and of course the big one here. Well, we're gonna take and cut that out, and we're gonna put this post in here. Tell you, that wood is solid. You see that claw that I got that at a yard sale for $2 about 6-7 years ago, and it's made for demolition like this. But I'm gonna have to bang that out with my big hammer because there's a little. They're in there tight. I think I put number 12s or 16s in there. I don't recall now. Okay, this is my steel hammer. This is one I used to bang the horseshoe stakes in back in the days when we used to have our cookouts. Also a yard sale special. As you can see, it's what, 1986? That ain't too bad considering that's Douglas fir. Of course, that's the better wood. The ones over here are worse. But we need the space in there to put the beam in, so we're going to get going on that now. Well, I'm going to dig down just as much as I can here, and then I'll probably have to cut off the end. Now, since this is a factory cut up here, I'm going to use that for the top and what I cut off down at the bottom. If I have to cut any off, looks like I'm about 5-6 inches too long here. We're 68 inches from edge to edge on the post, so we're 34 inches on center right here, and this is where we're going to put the post. So we're going to dig straight down into the ground as much as I can. A lot of rocks in this area, so. rocks and gravel. Oh, I couldn't get down too far. Plus, I don't have a post hole digger. Well, actually, I do, but it's buried way in the back. I'd have to move the snowblower and the generator out. I ain't gonna do that. We're gonna cut the other end. I've got to take a measurement of this cut here, and we'll add 1 inch on it so we can jam it down into the ground. This whole deck sits basically with pressure treated wood right on the ground, and we never had any problem with frost heaves on it or anything. The deck stayed pretty level. So you got a good thing going, leave it that way. Looks like it might rain today, but this is not a big deal because I just want to try to get this in. If I get rained on, it's not a big deal, as I said. The big deal is when I tear all this up and then I have a week or more of rain, then we have a problem. By the way, I got this at a yard sale about 5 years ago for $5 because they couldn't get the blade off, and I use an impact wrench, one that goes in the cigarette lighter that I bought at Walmart for 20 bucks years ago, and got the thing right off. So it's a good little saw. Let me go turn this around now. Okay, gotta just tap it in now. There was 2 big rocks, one on each side of that beam there, and lots of gravel. So even if I had a post hole digger, I would never be able to get it down anyways. And you know, this is a very rocky area here, so we have to work the way, you know, the best we can here. Alright, we got to do a little leveling up. This didn't push up the thing, so the rail didn't get pushed up, so we're looking good. What we're going to do down the bottom here, we're going to drive a couple of big nails. I could bolt this, but I did that on all the corners and on these here years ago, but I don't think we have to do that. We'll just put a couple of big, we'll put a clamp on there, on here. What that'll do is keep that from moving out when I'm pounding on that. Well, I'm going to pre-drill 1 hole in the 2x8 joist down there and put one number 20 in there, and then we're going to bring the top over. I want that top to flush out with the top of the side of the rail, and it isn't really flushing out the way I want it. We'll get it there but we got to do the bottom first. And then we'll have like a pivot point, because the distance between this post and this and this and this on the bottom is exactly the same, but on the top it's not, because one of these, if not both of these posts, are not squared to the floor. But who's going to notice it out a quarter of an inch anyways? So we're going to split the difference on the top. Okay, I flushed it out. I only put one nail in it so far. It's flushed out because this one over here is flushed out and that one's flushed out. But this one is overhung. So we just want to keep it the same. Since this is flushed, we want this to be flush. So I had to pull it a little bit to get it to be flush, but that 4x4 has a slight bow in it anyways. I probably should have turned it around. It's very, very slight. So we're going to get to work on this now. We put 4 nails in the top of the 4x4. That's what we do on all these. I hate to do this, we're going to have to drill one up here. Get the center punch and bang them in. One out the edge. One out the edge and that other one, that's that one that went in off the leaf. Got to put a couple more nails down at the bottom there. You don't need to watch me do that. Because this This paint here is a joke anyways because it's latex. But it's supposed to be floor and deck paint, but it dries. But if it rains on, it gets slippery and you can take your fingernail and scrape it right off. It doesn't put, none of this latex protects the wood. I don't care what anybody says. Good old oil base, the good old Cupinol oil base, which is why this deck probably lasted so long, because I used Cupinol oil base paint every year until they didn't make it anymore. Then I was forced to use latex. So back in 1986, all this stuff was done with Cupinol, redwood solid Cupinol stain. Well, we'll put this junk on it. Just all this stuff does is make it look good. That's all. We'll finish it off camera. I figured if I just touch this up, it goes on a purplish look, but when it dries, it looks redwood. I had this mixed at Home Depot last year. I kept it in the house because I didn't want it to freeze over the winter. Okay, this post is pressure treated, but it's been sitting in that wood pile over there for about a year, so it's definitely okay to paint it. It looks a lot better. But you know, I gotta get some kind of caulking to put in there. I've been asking around at Home Depot, they're not very helpful, as to what kind of caulking I can put in here. That would be, I think Phenoseal is where I got at my local hardware store that I used in the side shed, but they don't have it at Home Depot. So I gotta, when I get the crisscrosses in here, I'm gonna put the nails through, and then I'll seal them the same way with these here. This just got paint in them now, so these have got to be sealed also. Well, that's all I'm going to do, because I can't put no crisscrosses in here yet, and they're going to be in the way when I'm taking this flooring out. So temporarily I'm going to nail a piece of plywood over this hole so nobody will get hurt, fall in there. So I get a scrap piece of plywood and I'll just close this hole up temporarily till I get ready to pull everything out. So the more I do now, the better it'll be later. I'll join you in this video when the time comes. Who knows, maybe I'll put the video up here the way it is now, and you'll have something to watch. Take care, everyone.